And our first speaker on the stage is somebody I'm sure many of you know very well, an old-time colleague and friend, a reader in computing in the Department of Computer Science and Modeling Simulation Group, Brunel University, but really very interested in everything we do within the FP7 program, has been quite involved in that. So please welcome Simon Taylor to speak to us for the next 20 minutes, please. Simon.
Thank you, Tusu, and thank you for the good speeches this morning to get us going. And I'd like to welcome you all again. It's very good to see everybody. It's very nice to see people I've not seen for a while. And it's very nice to see such good participation at this event. So what I've got to talk to you in a very brief amount of time is basically introducing e-infrastructures and trying to get over to you very quickly what they are. And then I want to talk about some of the achievements that we've made on the EI for Africa project. So, getting going, we've got 4 things I want to say. The title of the talk is What, Why, How and When. So just to remind you, I have that at the bottom of the slide. So I want to say, what are e-infrastructures? Why do we need e-infrastructures? How do we implement them and who is involved? So, what are e-infrastructures? These are powerful integrated information and communication technologies that consist of loads of different things brought together in a very integrated way. So high-speed communication, high-speed research communication networks, computational resources, which collections of large collections of CPUs, such as grids and clouds, software services deployed on these, data services ranging from data sources to scientific literature, which we access through these, sensor networks, and securely accessed through web-based portals or science gateways. In the EI for Africa project, we've used this as a reference architecture. Now, there are others available, but just going through this very quickly, there is a lot to do with e-infrastructures. There is a large collection of concepts within these, and I don't want to sort of step on the EGI presentation, but just very quickly, we have down at the bottom the networks, but alongside of those, we have new emerging types of networks, and within the project, we've prototyped a rural broadband network using a novel set of routers that you might have seen outside in the demos. Building on top of that, we have links to sensors and instrumentation, data infrastructures and data avenues through our ADR and data repositories, and then grid, cloud, and HPC resources, which have been, at the moment, integrated into our infrastructure through SA Grid. On top of that, we have the security, the secure access to these, and these need certification and identity federations. On top of those, we have other services like EduRoam, and then more importantly, accessing these through relatively simplistic sized gateways, such as these. So the goal within our project has been to engage with communities of practice and hide all of that away. We've been trying to engage with providers such as NRENs to help them get to the stage where this kind of thing can be offered, but then working with stakeholders to say, well, if you want to use that within your community, then this is the kind of thing that you'll see. You will not see any of the stuff underneath, unless you want to, of course. So for this is a visual metaphor for a community of practice to engage with highly complex e-infrastructures to help them do what they do better. So e-infrastructures can help communities of practice. There's some fairly obvious things to say here, but it's worth underlining them. They can help communities of practice to work intensively and collaboratively boost research potential and impact. It can help them to share and disseminate knowledge and experience and state-of-the-art research to speed up scientific progress. It can expand the scope of a community of practice from a local remit to a global remit. And it can promote easy access to software, computing, data and sensor services used by that community. In other words, it helps us to get together more frequently, to share things more frequently, and really energize what we're doing to pursue the goals of that community. These are fundamentally important tools that we all need access to. And who's we? Well, that sometimes when we talk about e-infrastructures, there is a natural sort of slant to perhaps environment and life sciences, but it's not. These are all examples of communities of practice that e-infrastructures have helped. They include arts, anthropology, biology, archaeology, chemistry, pharmacology, arts, I've said arts already, forgive me, geography and meteorology. There is a wide remit. There is one common problem in this, however, which is if you show the complexity and say, I'm using this to show the value to your community, it switches people off. And what we've tried to do and work really hard to within the EI for Africa project is to reach out to communities and try and translate the technology into benefit. And we feel for some cases we've done that very effectively. We want to grow that further. So who are we talking about? The iMentors project has proved extremely useful in mapping out potential resource providers. And the Change Reds project has also done a similar sort of thing in mapping out data sources. Can I invite everybody to look at the iMentors project and see what these symbols mean? Because effectively these are clusters of potential resource providers within different African countries. And it's a fantastic system to use. You click through and expand those nodes, and it makes it relatively easy to see who's offering what. Excellent service. We feed through to NRENs. So different institutions provide data, computing, or whatever. Who are the brokers of this power? Who are the gatekeepers? Well, these are the NRENs. And within these projects, we've been working very closely with the 6 listed there, and we're expanding the scope to provide practical advice, training for them to deploy the main gateway technologies of certification authorities and identity federations. And this has been a fantastic step forward. So these NRENs, which are listed in their slide, are now providing those services. But to who? To communities of practice. Now, we've put together a quick and dirty survey document that you have with you. We are constantly hunting for new friends. We want to make new friends and identify new communities of practice. Within EI for Africa, we've identified 34, and these are examples. So in life sciences and health, we've had a very successful collaboration with the African Institute of Biomedical Science and Technology, ABIST. And what those arrows seek to show is the primary location where ABIST is hosted, but then the collaboration over Africa. This is one of our partnerships we've formed within the project. And within it, it is a massive area, a massive community of practice. And what we're trying to do there is to develop a science gateway to help them do what they do better. Another one is the West African Health Informatics Fellowship Program, WIFIP. This is smaller, but with a big remit. This is a global network of collaborating institutions supporting e-health and providing a framework for coordinating health informatics capacity building across West Africa. This is small, but with big goals. With natural sciences and environment, we've identified another community of practice that can benefit from what we're promoting, e-infrastructures and science gateways, the Lake Victoria Fisheries Organisation, which is a small virtuous circle of organisations which are seeking to sustainably utilise the resources of Lake Victoria. Moving on from that, there's a single institution community of practice, but really this is the host of the data that is providing a worldwide resource for climate change. This is the Centre for Atmospheric Research in Nigeria, which is part of the Centre of the Nigerian Space Agency Research and Development Agency, NASRA, and it's aiming to help internationally understand how the atmosphere and climate works. This is a data source, but through a science gateway, we've now made that internationally available. And what are these science gateways? Well, you can't see these are too small, but at one side, it's just a web page with drop-down menus. But this is what it gives you. It gives you transparent access to high-speed computing resources, data repositories, and other scientific tools that researchers need. So the project results, there's a pamphlet in the pack that you were given when you registered this morning, but just to highlight a few of these. We conducted a major survey. I mentioned this. We've identified within the 2-year period 34 African communities of practice that can benefit. This was from an open questionnaire and then drilled down into a wider survey. Now, this is an order of magnitude bigger from the previous project, Arena for Africa, where we identified about 6. Now, this isn't the be-all and end-all. There are many more out of there, but these are the communities that have responded enthusiastically to the requests that we've made for information. And to capture those on the EI for Africa website, we now have our project wall. One of the conclusions from the Brain Gain meeting last September in Paris, last September in Paris, was how do we communicate to the world the needs of these communities of practice? And within our project, we've tried to embrace that by capturing vignettes, short overviews of what a community practice needs to do, wants to do, and how it wants to do it. And we're putting these out there as calls for research for people to get involved and help these communities of practice to move forward. We've created gateways to science. Our African Science Grid Gateway exemplifies how science gateways can be used to support the needs of communities of practice. There are many examples of these that you can see out in the foyer and across today. We've helped to get started new federated research communities with the deployment of certifications and identity federations. We also deployed within the project a new paradigm for rural broadband access. And if you look in the far corner in there, you'll see hardware routers, which is built out of commonly available technology, but extremely low power and extremely powerful computing, delivered at relatively low cost. These are the routers that can be solar powered and put out into the outback to collect sensor networks, but also to connect researchers and Internet of Things. We've also contributed to the setup of a regional operations centre for Africa, which is using the resources of SA Grid to power African communities of practice and make e-infrastructure resources available to them for their work and research. And finally, we've identified 44 priorities for tomorrow. This is the list in the project of what we think are the most important things, the most important messages that need to be followed through on for e-infrastructures for Africa. And that's it. Beg your pardon, I should have switched to that slide. Don't forget to fill in the questionnaire. We will follow up. We're looking for new friends. And thank you very much.
Thank you.